Okay, so we're ready to go. Actually, it's our videographer. We have each of these Henderson Speaks videoed, and they're all on our website. So that's another great thing for the Henderson Historical Society. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Andy Hafen. I'm the president of the Henderson Historical Society. And Becky's my biggest cheerleader, right? But more important than me, I really do have to thank Mark Hall-Patton, and we have Liz Bickmore that are going to put on this Henderson Speaks for us this evening, and looking forward to a discussion on the wetlands. But beforehand, we've got just a few announcements, and every single Henderson Speaks, I always say without shame, HendersonHistoricalSociety.org. Up in the upper right-hand corner is Become a Member. So if you know friends, family, neighbors, we really could use membership. We've not still recovered from COVID. Our numbers are way down. Matter of fact, we're probably down 50% from what we had at one time. So please, it helps us to have those numbers. Now, Mark Hall-Patton has done another great favor for us. Out in the lobby there was one of his famous bobbleheads that he's graciously donated, and there will be a raffle. And I guess we'll kind of get that all together, and we'll do it at the end of the presentation. We'll do the drawing then. Our next Henderson Speaks event is going to be a big switch up from what we've done in previous years. Every April, we try and have, along with Heritage Days, Industrial Days, whatever we're calling it. Well, actually, we're not calling it anything now because they don't have that parade anymore. So this is even more important that the Historical Society carries on that tradition. And what we're going to do is in May, and it's actually going to be on Saturday, May 4th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at City Hall. We're partnering with the city this time in the Development Services Department, which is the very first floor there. The city is going to formally break out the what we're calling the Downtown Virtual Tour. And they're going to explain that. I went down the other day. We're going to have people that are taking different historical sites and talking about them. People can do that walking tour, and they can be online. And at this virtual tour, you use your QR code, and it will tell you about it. It sounds amazing. And so they're going to officially open that up on the 4th of May, again, from 6 p.m. to 7:30. We'll have our new calendar coming out in August for our 24-25 calendar year. But since we are not having any more Henderson Speaks after this one, except for the Pioneer celebration on the 4th, but on September 18th at the Henderson Eagles Hall, we are going to have another candidates night. And was it 2 years ago? Anyway, it was very, very well attended, and we had a lot of the candidates there. So hopefully if you can kind of talk that up. I know we have the summer coming up, but that will be on September 18th, and more of that we'll put down on Facebook and that. And so with that, I guess if you guys, next coming up is Easter, have a good Easter. And I'm going to turn it over to Mark Hall-Patton. Oh, do you have, you just said goodbye.
That's at the VFW Hall?
No, the candidates night will be at the Eagles Hall. The Eagles on Pacific. I'm sorry, I probably should have said that. So Mark, take it away.
All righty. Well, first off, that's the bobblehead. If you didn't get your tickets in, don't know where you can get them, but you'll be able to. I'm really happy to have Elizabeth here tonight. I had, during my period with the county, the Wetlands Park was actually under my purview for about a year and a half. I was there when we first started talking about the Wetlands Park. It was one of those things that the whole idea of building this place, it was this huge project. It went on for years and years and years. And what it was going to be, it was going to be this, it was going to be that. This was a long-term project. And then they brought in Elizabeth. And let me tell you a little bit about her before I turn this over and let her talk about what she's been doing here since 2015, because she's been here for quite a while. I've known Liz for a number of years. But she grew up on the east side of Las Vegas and spent much of her free time exploring the desert behind her house with trips out to the swamp, as it was at that time. Her childhood experiences included feeling the shock wave of the Pepcon explosion in 1988. She survived Pepcon. And getting sprayed by the water from the Hoover Dam spillway in 1983. She attended UNLV, where she received a bachelor's degree in environmental studies and a minor in biology. Working her way through school, she interned with the Conservation District of Southern Nevada, where she was introduced to Nanu Tomiyasu, Vern Bostic, Joe Fortier, and Doug Merkler. They fed her passion for plants, wetlands, and were kind enough to share their knowledge and friendship. And I understand that they were quite willing to speak if you listened to them. Highlights of her professional career include an oral history project with the Southern Nevada Water Authority, where she recorded the stories of Nanu Tomiyasu and Vern Bostic. Oh, I would like to hear those. They must be... Did you? Yep. Ah, fascinating. And created interpretive panels at the Boulder City Constructed Wetlands Project and the Bostic Interpretive Center, and directed native restoration on the Virgin and Muddy Rivers and the Las Vegas Wash. She's been the program administrator for the Clark County Wetlands Park since 2015, and she is responsible for all the Nature Center operations and land management and planning within the Clark County Wetlands Park. And that's quite an area. And I hope that you've all been out there. And if you haven't been, after you hear her speak tonight, you are going to want to be there. Now, I'm going to remind you, we're going to let her speak, go through her PowerPoint, and then at the end, we'll have time for questions. So, Elizabeth, we're going to let you speak now.
There we go. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Can you guys hear me? So I'm so excited to be here. Normally, I provide these sorts of presentations and I talk about the park and what we do, but I thought this one would be really fun because I get to try to throw the historical component in there. So I'm trying to grab you with what I think would interest you for our history. So I'm pretty excited about this. I spent a little bit of time adding a few extra slides and had to do some research. So as Mark mentioned, I went to UNLV for a good long time to get that first degree. And so during my time there, I was fortunate enough to meet Vern Bostic among many others. And he was just an inspiration. He was just an inspiration. And I think that's true for a lot of people when you come out to the Wetlands Park. Once that gets its, little claws into you, you just can't shake it off. And so he's the one that introduced me to the park. I used to do the meeting summaries for the Wetlands Park. For the Friends of the Desert Wetlands Park. And so he had this little slideshow that he brought out. As you recall, the little round thing and the little slides fit in there, and you had to put that in your little machine, and anyway. So he would take that out, and he would show it to anybody that would listen because he was passionate about the park. And so I caught the bug, and he's the one that took me out there for the very first time. So I'm going to read you a quote from Vern that we recorded in his oral history. And I think it kind of gives a really nice overview of the park, and it kind of shows to you why I got so excited about this and how he got enthusiasm for the creation of the Wetlands Park. So, and I quote, "When I first stumbled across the Wetlands Park in the Las Vegas Wash in the 1960s, I thought to myself, boy, I've got to explore this." And I can still hear him say that. So for just the introduction to the oral history that we created, I said, and explore he did. Over the years, Vern Bostic has canoed, camped, hiked, inner tube, toured, off-roaded, photographed, and waded through the Las Vegas Wash. As a scientist, he has studied its beavers, plants, insects, and birds. Because of this, Vern has seen many changes over the last 40 years. He has watched the valley grow and the cattail marsh shrink. Head cuts have formed, creating these huge waterfalls that move upstream. The channel carved deep paths. The stream that once could easily be hopped across now must be slowed with grade control structures to help reduce the erosion. The Las Vegas Wash has long been an oasis in the harsh desert. Historically, the wash had intermittent flows, serving as a resting place and corridor for Native people traveling from the lower Colorado River to the Spring Mountains. Today, it is a lush waterway carrying flows from the Las Vegas Valley, providing nutrient-rich wetland and riparian habitat, supporting more than 700 species of native birds and migratory wildlife. Additionally, the wash provides a natural place in the urban area for recreation and research opportunities for the community. The wash has changed over the years, but Vern remained a constant advocate for the park development. And so he took that enthusiasm and passion and science, and he convinced many a lawmaker to develop this park. And as Mark mentioned, it was not a small feat. It was huge. So here's a picture of Vern sitting under our Gooding Willow. It's one of the oldest ones in the valley. And I remember sitting there with him, and he would show me where the beaver would chew on the Gooding Willow, and little shoots would pop up, and he'd talk about how beavers would garden. They would chew on a very mature tree, which causes the roots or the shoots to pop up, and then it's got these nice little tender shoots that it can eat. So it's a little bit easier on the teeth. So hopefully you've been out to the Wetlands Park, but as Mark said, I think after tonight, I want to see all of you guys out there. So we're located in the southeastern part of the valley, and the area is outlined. The watershed is outlined by our mountains. So the entire 1,600 square mile watershed, all of the water that flows within those mountains makes its way to the lowest point in the valley, which is the Las Vegas Wash, which runs through the Wetlands Park. Today, the park is 2,900 acres. We've got 6 trailheads. We've got a nature center. The nature preserve is up here in the northern part of the Wetlands Park. We've got 34 miles of trails. We have lots to offer people that want to bike, that want to walk, that want to hike, that want to see nature. We've got so much to see out there. And then along the Las Vegas Wash, there's 21 weirs, which are dam-like structures that help create habitat, slow the flows, reduce erosion. Half of the park is owned by the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. So we have a lease agreement with them. So half of it's county, half of it's the federal land. So we have a wonderful partnership with them, and we manage the lands for recreation on their behalf. The mission of the Wetlands Park is to preserve and enhance the natural and cultural resources, provide educational, recreation, and research opportunities for the public. So that's what we're doing today. And it truly is a community resource because all of that water is flowing through the Las Vegas Wash in the Wetlands Park, underneath Lake Las Vegas, and out into Las Vegas Bay in Lake Mead, which is upstream of our drinking water source. So it's important. So the weirs and the vegetation and the slow movement through the Wetlands Park helps polish the flows. It helps improve water quality. We have a lot of trash that collects at some of the weirs, and that really is, I think, a wonderful way to show you what wetlands can do. Yes, we are collecting trash lots and lots of trash that drains from the whole valley, from Summerlin, North Las Vegas, everywhere that there's trash in the valley. It makes its way into those waterways and collects there at that first weir. So that shows you on like a macro level the ability to remove pollutants. So yes, we go in and we physically remove the trash, but those wetland plants and the sediments there, they also collect the pollutants that are filtering out of the water. So it really does show you the power of wetlands. We have lots of different habitats out there: aquatic, wetland, desert, mesquite woodland, a wide variety of habitats. And we have more than, as I said, 314 species of birds. We have more than 70 species of wildlife and just endless amounts of macroinvertebrates and insects. So, going back into the past just a little bit, it's always been historically and culturally important, this particular area. Back 12,000 years ago, there's evidence of people using tools. 55 to 1850, hunting has been happening out there, and it's a corridor. The folks, the Native American would come from the Colorado River, make their way through the wash, and go up to the Spring Mountains and back and forth. And so it was an area. As you all probably know, there's lots of cultural evidence throughout the valley. And then there's a little narrow area through the wash that they would move. There were 3 surveys done last century, a long time ago. It doesn't seem like a long time ago to me, but there were 3 surveys that were done for development purposes, and they realized there was really something special out there. And so that prompted the establishment of the Las Vegas Archaeological District. They ran out of funds in their surveys, so they only could survey so much. So back in 2000, with funds from the Bureau of Reclamation, Southern Nevada Water Authority, they hired HRA to continue those surveys, revisit the sites that were identified, and do an exhaustive survey throughout the Wetlands Park. And they found a lot of really great things. So a few things, I would love to show you pictures, and I had a few things in the slide, and I just had to take it out because some things were not, we can't share. But there's mortars that have been found out there. The base of a Clovis Point, that's the only one that's been found in Clark County. Pit houses have been found out there, and food storage areas as well, and so much more. So this actually is on the edge of the wash near the Nature Center. So one of our volunteers actually saw this, and you can see the dark outline there. That's a hearth. It's an area where they cooked, and so the dark area is charcoal and pollen. And so they were able to go in and carbon date the charcoal to determine the age, and they were able to analyze the pollen to see what they were eating, what they were cooking. And so this was the first time that they found evidence that they were using maize. And so the soils in this one particular area of the Wetlands Park are gypsiferous, so they're made with gypsum, which is like a natural desiccant. So that they were able, so what we call it the larder site. They would bury their foodstuffs in the ground, and it would stay, it wouldn't get moldy because you've got that desiccant there, and they'd come back later and eat it. So yeah, it was pretty neat. And so a volunteer saw this because that doesn't look right. And so it's pretty exciting that someone with an untrained eye could find such a find. So again, been historically and culturally relevant for a long time. The old Spanish Trail came through there briefly. We'll take credit for it. It was in Antonio Amijo's diary that they looked at the mouth of the wash down near the Colorado River. And then the Bishop Ranch was out there. And so the milk house was excavated. And Mark could elaborate on this way more than I can. But they found this milk house, and it was going to be destroyed because of the erosion in the Las Vegas Wash, and they're going to put a weir in. So they unearthed it, they cataloged it, they took all the pictures and all of that. They did the measurements and whatever else one does as a archaeologist, and they numbered everything so that it could be recreated and installed at the Clark County Museum. And so you can go there today to see that. And then industry in the area. So we're going to claim the whole area, which includes a lot of Henderson, because it's habitation and the general vicinity. So, of course, 1910, the railroad came through. 1916, Three Kids Mine was opened. Gold and gypsum mining was taking place in and around Frenchman Mountain. 1935, Hoover Dam came in. Basic Management, Inc., of course, which has impacts on the wash. That was an operation. And then in 1955, the Clark County Sanitation District, now it's the Clark County Water Reclamation District, but it does the same thing. So they're the ones that treat the water. They were the first ones to treat sewage and all of that. And so they needed some place to discharge that water. And so they started discharging it to the Las Vegas Wash. So the Las Vegas Wash used to be an intermittent stream. Maybe there were some springs around, but there wasn't water in it year round. So they started discharging to the wash. And as the population grows, so too did the water in the wash. So that was very significant. And we took this photo from your website, the City of Henderson Historical Society. So it's a wonderful website. I Googled it. I said, oh, perfect. You guys have a great website. All right, so this one was kind of fun. This, I don't think, oh, it does work. That's great. Okay, so this is the Las Vegas Wash back in 1949. I don't know if somebody's flying in a plane or what, but I would imagine that's the only way they got it. So Frenchman Mountain is over here. There's a whole group of mountains over there. I believe this is Lava Butte. North is over here. Most of the wetlands part goes this way, around like that. And this is where the wash goes out to the Colorado River. And I don't know where the Colorado River is, but it's down here. Because this was before Lake Las Vegas and the lake and all of that, right? So you can, and then right here is Lake Las Vegas now. Yeah. So I just thought that was fantastic. If we have a little bit of time, I'll show you a updated one, which shows where everything is. So that was right around here that I just showed you. So again, so back to today, the valley has grown a great deal. And so there's a lot of water in the Las Vegas Wash. We have 200 million gallons per day of reclaimed water, highly treated wastewater, effluent, whatever you want to call it. That's the good stuff. 200 million gallons of treated water is in the wash. And then we have these other three components. Shallow groundwater, which is just whatever runs off the streets, percolates into the ground, and then just runs right into the tributaries and into the wash. We've got urban runoff, and then the storm flows when those occur. So that's... The water body is not meant for human contact. It's perfectly fine for wildlife. It's got lots of nutrients and bacteria, which is fine for the wildlife, but not for us. And again, all of it drains out to Las Vegas Bay. And this is what it looks like. I wish I had the year on this, but yes, with the lake levels dropping, the bay now is highly sedimented. Okay, this is a good one too. So stepping back in time a little bit, the problem is that the water being discharged into the wash, which was a dry desert wash. They have different types of soils. It's not riverine soils. It's alluvial fan soil. So that stuff erodes. It's very light and friable, and it's just not. it doesn't stay together well, so to speak, with my technical terms. So every time it rained, all of that water is making its way through the many tributaries like Flamingo Wash, like Duck Creek, Tropicana Wash, all of these washes, and it's making its way through the valley, you know, flash floods every summer in the monsoon season and all of that. So in 1975, there was this huge flood. I don't know what the magnitude was, but it caused $4 million worth of damage back in 1975. So I bet it's a lot more today if we were to amortize it. This top photo is, I think what I read in the paper in the RJ is they said that the waters, as they often did back in the day before before the improvements were made, is the Caesar's Palace parking lots would flood. So all the cars would float and wash downstream. And so that's exactly what happened. A couple of people lost their lives in North Las Vegas. This was a wide sweeping flood. And then here you can just see some of the photos. It's pretty spectacular, I think. Also, so the Charleston underpass filled up with water, and the exits to the I-15 were just filled with water. And then the sewage plants were overwhelmed. And this was a very significant flood. So people like Vern Bostic, Glade Coach, and many other people that were passionate about the environment, they had been paying attention. They were out in the Las Vegas Wash. They thought it was fantastic. There's water, there's wetlands, you know, it could be an amazing place. They saw birds out there, lots and lots of ducks everywhere. People would shoot out there. It was just an untamed area that nobody was safeguarding. So after that 1975 flood, well, I guess prior to the 1975 flood, there's about 2,000 acres of wetlands that had popped up. So again, this was a dry desert wash, and it completely transformed with this addition of water. So it's a created space. So because of the highly nutrient water, we had 2,000 acres of wetlands. After this flood in 1975, they started to drain. So you don't have to see this too clearly. I know it's fuzzy. But this area up here, those are cattails. Those are the cattail marsh. It used to extend all the way across. This channel prior to 1975 was about 20 feet wide. After the flood, it deepened and widened to about 200 feet. And so when you have that big drop, cattails require a lot of water because they're an aquatic plant. And so the floodplain disconnected from those plants. And so they started to die. So there, you can see they're turning gold and they're on their way out. And here, this is in 1979 and 81, a similar area, not the exact same spot, but very similar. And so you can see they really are dried out. And so that's when they really sounded the alarm. They said, you know what? We had all these beautiful wetlands and now they're going away. Somebody needs to do something. These photos were provided by Dudley Zoller. And Vern had them in his little slideshow, and they're in his oral history. So another slide, just to lighten it up a little bit, that Vern had in there was him tubing in the Las Vegas Wash. Again, I would never do that today. But did I walk in the Las Vegas Wash when I was a kid? Absolutely, I did. Never mind what kind of water it was. So here's a quote from him. This is what he would, this is part of his talk, and this is what he would say when this slide came up. So this is after the flooding of 1975, and he said, the new banks are not stable. Here we are struggling to get over a tree that has fallen across the stream. I don't recommend the wash for tubing or canoeing because of the difficulty scouting it. A scouting error nearly cost me my life and sent my companion to a hospital for surgical repair. So, I mean, this is what people did out there. It was a free-for-all. So again, as I said, the wetlands went from 2,000 acres to 200 acres. And we had a lot of water quality issues because you have all kinds of water going into the wash that's not treated, so much erosion because these banks are not made to hold that type of water. the channels, not built for all the meandering and all of that. People were lighting fires out there, fireworks. It burned every year. It still burns every year, but on a smaller basis. Lots of illegal activity, dumping. I mean, it was just, it was a place we would go to party, although I wasn't allowed to, in high school. I mean, it was just a free-for-all out there. And so in 1998, I think they first identified perchlorate in Lake Mead. And so that really got everybody in an uproar and really kind of pushed that final lever where lots of different federal, state, and local groups, they needed to do something to address the water quality. And by that time, the Clark County Commission had decided that, yes, we will make this a wetlands park. And with the government, it's baby steps because it was a very big undertaking. So in 1991, a bond measure was approved for the development of the wetlands park. That's when we came up with our boundary of what could be the wetlands park. Much of that land was still held by private individuals, so it was a dream still. In 1995, we came up with a master plan where we outlined what type of amenities we wanted out there and how, what types of projects need to be implemented. But really the crucial thing was in 1998, the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act was established. And that's where federal lands would be sold within Clark County, and those monies would stay in Clark County to help create parks, trails, and natural areas. And Clark County Wetlands Park was the very first project that received money from them. And since then, we have received $75 million to help develop the park, as with many different organizations locally. It's just a fantastic thing. And then in 1998, the Southern Nevada Water Authority led the charge for developing the Las Vegas Wash Coordination Committee. And that is a consortium of 28 different agencies, federal, state, local, businesses, nonprofits, to help address the many issues surrounding the Las Vegas Wash and water quality in the lake. And Wetlands Park was one of the focus points for them. So we had a lot of support. Again, this just lists some of the projects that we've done, mostly SNPLMA, that's what we call it, projects. We also have a mitigation wetland. That's where developers, including the county and Clark County Regional Flood Control District, they can come in and they can plow through wetlands. But because there's no net loss of wetlands, according to federal law, they had to build wetlands somewhere. So they gave the county money and we built our own wetlands with it. So that was a pretty big deal. It's a 135 acre project. We've got 7 ponds, but that's part of the Wetlands Park as well. And so just every 2 years, every biennium, we'd come up with a project and we would implement it based on our master plan. We're still not done. So why are we doing this? We're doing this, as I said, there's 4 components to our mission statement, and one of them is conserving resources. And so this is a woodhouses toad. Yes, we have beavers out there. Yes, we have raccoons, we have badgers. There's just a wide variety of animals that we have. And so these are our 3 threatened or endangered birds that are out there. The Yuma Ridgeway rail is the one on the top. And then we have the yellow-billed cuckoo, and then the southwestern willow flycatcher. And there's other listed species as well. So I always make the caveat that all of these people put all this work into getting the Wetlands Park established. Vern did all of this work to get the county to agree to it. Other folks did all this work to build these nature center and plan the park. And I just came in at the end. I'm like, great, I have all of these at my disposal, and now we just get to do programs. So I am very fortunate that I am here at this point, but I certainly acknowledge everyone that helped us get there. So Christy Levitt, which I'll talk about in a minute, she worked for Clark County Wetlands Park, she also worked at the museum with Mark, Natural History Museum. She helped plan and design the Nature Center. And so if you guys have been out there, it's just amazing. And I highly recommend, if you haven't, but to come out. But it's a 45,000 square foot nature center. We've got classrooms, we've got an exhibit gallery, we've got meeting spaces. We have an auditorium where we show movies about the Wetlands Park. We rent out this space. It's just, and then in the exhibit gallery, just the high level of exhibits that we have that are all interactive, the level of interpretation that they provide is just phenomenal. I have tried to create some of these projects or implement projects with the county, and I have no idea how she was able to get this caliber of a project, because it is hard. It is really, really hard when you have to go at the lowest bidder. So it's just amazing to me. So we really focus in, now that we're implementing and programming the whole Wetlands Park, we really try to focus on recreation, culture, and stewardship. Bird watching is just phenomenal right now. It's a wonderful time of year. All of the wildlife are pairing up, and it's a sight to see. Lots of activity out there. People often come and they're so excited to see the road runners. And I'm like, I see them every day. I see like 5 a day, but people from other places, they've never seen one before, and it's on their bucket list to see. So yeah, we just have lots of migratory birds that come through, as well as residents. Bicycling is fantastic. We have a 14-mile loop trail. We're working to pave the final remains of that, because not all of it is paved, but we're working on that right now. We just developed a nature play corner, and we're going to keep building on that. That's near our grass area, kind of on the edge of the nature preserve. So that's a place where people can come in and be wild and noisy and interact with nature, but still on the edge of it, so you have less effect on it. And it's where we're encouraging kids to play and get dirty and throw things and be creative in nature. We just opened 2 gallery spaces, which we're pretty darn excited about. One is Songs of Nature Gallery, and the other is The Nest. Our volunteer program is yet another gift from my predecessors, Chris Levitt and others. They started the volunteer program before we even had a building. I think we were even in under the soccer ball at what's the name of that park? There's a soccer ball there was once a golf ball on Russell, some park there. I played soccer there. Anyway, yeah, it's over there. Yes. Anyway, we had a volunteer back from the early 2000s. So on average, we have about 134 volunteers that are active every year. And so it's just phenomenal. Stewardship is super important to us. So land management is very important, and support financially and administratively is very important. So the more that we can get people involved in the park that love the park, the more they'll tell their friends, the more they'll tell their commissioners, the more they'll complain about things. But again, if people complain, then somebody wants action, and then we get to implement what we need to do to take care of the land appropriately. So stewardship is huge for us. Very, very important. And then land management. So even though we're all about recreation and the public and all of that, but really we have to manage the land. Otherwise, none of that makes sense. And we're there to protect the resources and the habitat. So we do a lot of restoration, weed management, fuel reduction, lots and lots of things like that. So on the park grounds, we've estimated, and again, it's just an estimate, that more than 3.5 million people have come through on the trails over the last 10 years. In the exhibit gallery, that's a hard number. We have counted 257,687 people that have come through. And then for programs and events, just in the last 10 years, again, we've really ramped it up since I've been there, because We opened in 2013. So by the time I came along in 2015, we got a little momentum going. So we've had more than 139,000 people participate in programs. And then, of course, like all other parks in the world, we had a huge increase in visitorship during the pandemic. So 2 million of the 3 million just came since, 2020. And we still have continued high numbers, which is really nice. So our school field trips, from 2009 to 2023, we've had more than 57,000 students that we have reached that have come out on a field trip. Now we do virtual field trips. We do guided field trips, which has always been our mainstay. And then we also do self-guided field trips. And we've implemented assemblies because now we have native animals. We call them our wetlands ambassadors that we take out to schools to share the wetlands park with them. Interpretive programs, we're all of our folks that provide these programs are certified interpretive guides. So we take great pride in that. It's a national certification. We offer kids programs from very little ones, nature tykes where parents are learning to interact with their kids in nature, to teens and adults, lots of art programs, lots of nature hikes, story time. And now we've got a 6-passenger cart. So we originally got it with the intent that we would use it for people with limited mobility. And we still do that, but you can also rent it for fun so that you can go and cruise around the wetlands park. We drive, but we provide you an interpretive program. That's really fun. And then we have a wetland walker program as well. So that's where, if you just want to come out and walk, you can join the wetland walker program. It's free. And you log your miles, and then collectively the whole group of wetland walkers tries to walk the distance that a migratory animal would cover in a year. So right now, I think it's a yellow-warped warbler. Yep, got that right. And so all throughout the year, you learn little tidbits about that particular species. We've been recognized by many different organizations for our award-winning programs. We often are nominated for Best of Las Vegas. We have yet to win, but that's okay. We're nominated. We're on the map. Annual events. So I want to point this one out to you. So we do a variety of events every year. Most of them are free. A lot of them we do in partnership with our commissioner. So a lot of times we get free food. So this Saturday, we've got our art day, Wetlands Art Day. So I encourage you all to come out to that. It's from 10 to 2. If the weather's not good, we'll do it inside so you won't be uncomfortable. But we'll have plein air so you can paint outside. You can also watch talented artists paint outside. That's plein air. We've got lots of activities where you can paint inside. We've got an artist workshop. We've got a quintet that's going to play for us. It'll be a lot of fun. So that's from 10 to 2 this Saturday. And then we also do things like BioBlast, where we practice citizen science and share citizen science with families, from little ones to older folks, and we teach them how to identify the species that you might see out there and how to log it onto a website. It's pretty great. Discovery Day, we do that in the summer where we invite lots of our partners, again, state, feds, come out and just share with the public, because it's hot out and there's just not much to do in the summer, what people can do in the summer with those different groups. Astronomy in the park, we just started doing this with our commissioners. So about once a year, we have an astronomy night with the Las Vegas Astronomical Society. And that's always a lot of fun. And then Haunt the Wetlands. This is the most fun, in my opinion. We all love Halloween, and we just go, we decorate a maze. So it's like a corn maze, but we do it in the reeds because that's what we have, which is similar in height. So we decorate that up. We do Creatures of the Night, where people can come and learn about different animals that would be there in the park. We have taxidermy. We have live animals and lots of fun things. So we always do that towards the end of October. And we're very active in social media. We have a quarterly newsletter. If you want to get more information about us, you can, be a recipient of that. Just sign up for that. We also do an e-blast from time to time. So if you give us your email, you're consenting to being on our e-blast, but you can always take yourself off. So yeah, just if you want to find out more about the park or just, maybe you'll come out and check things out, sign up for those things. We have more than 12,000 followers on Facebook, Instagram, more than 4,300 followers. We're pretty darn active. And then also, we'll talk about that in a minute. So then also we have an app, the Wetlands Park Navigator app, which was provided to us by the Wetlands Park Friends, which is on I think the next slide. So that's a new app that we have that you can download. And so people were always getting lost in the park, and they would call us and we say, we're lost. We don't know where we are. And we'd ask them for identifying features. I'm near the water. I see the mountains, things like that. And you're like, oh, which side is the water on? So anyway, so this app really helps people find themselves. And so we feel like we do a lot less rescues in the summer and throughout the year. But also the great thing about this is we're able to reach people that don't speak English. We're able to reach those people that maybe are sight impaired because it's in Spanish and Tagalog. And then also it'll read to you in the exhibit gallery. It'll take you on a tour. It'll also take you on a tour of the nature preserve at our interpretive signs. And is there anything else? No. Okay. We have a Wetlands Park Friends who helped us develop this in the audience. So. But it's pretty darn fantastic. And actually, it's amazing because I think we've had it for 2 years or maybe just 2 years. Yep. Okay. We've already had 22,000 uses of the app from people from all over the world. And on average, they spend 30 minutes on this app, which is amazing. So it's been extremely, extremely successful. So Wetlands Park Navigator app, you can find it in your store. And so, as I said before, this is a huge project to develop, and it was done in partnership with many, many different groups. And the implementation of our programs and the ongoing management of the land is still in partnership with many, many different groups. And I am so fortunate because I've worked at other places in my life where we weren't necessarily the favorite people in the room, but working for Wetlands Park, nobody's mad at me. They might get mad at what's happening out in the park, but that's only because they care. And then I get to use that for ammunition for, I'm sorry, boss, but these people are mad about this. We got to fix it. And so it's just fantastic. And so people come to us. I had the Bureau of Land Management comes to us. We have a piece of equipment that we need to try out because we might want to buy it. Do you have some place where I can use this masticator? Yes, I do. And so we'll take them out. And so we're that kind of service for a lot of the land managers because we're centrally located. We're not off, on Mount Charleston where it's hard to get to in the backcountry. We really are a service where people can try things out like that because it benefits us for fuel reduction. We also partner with many different nonprofit groups like the Nevada Watercolor Society. They'll come and offer classes with us, things like that. And then I also, in that vein, I want to talk about the Wetlands Park Friends. So as I said, they provided the funding for our Wetlands Park Navigator app. They also this year provide us $11,500 just for bus funding. And that's a huge obstacle for many, many schools. So with the bus funding, any school that wants to come out can come out. They provide us ongoing support of our stewardship. We had the Pro Bowl here the last couple of years, and so, and also the Super Bowl. And so NFL always brings funds to do stewardship. And so Wetlands Park Friends helped us support us with that. And then I also want to point out, so here they are down here. This is a little bit older photo, but I thought it was very nice. So this was the original board of the Wetlands Park Friends. And so Christy Levitt here on the right, I don't know if you guys know her. She's kind of known in the world. So she worked at Clark County for a long time, and then she was a volunteer with us, and now she's the president of the Wetlands Park Friends. So I asked her, and she's also just an amazing person and interpreter. So I asked her just to write some stories, some PG stories. She's got some other stories, because managing a park, you would be surprised what happens out there. But she provided me some safe stories, I could tell. So this story that she gave me, this took place decades ago, I'm sure, where they were bringing out a school group to the Wetlands Park. So she entitled it, "Look at That Kitty." So on a beautiful spring Thursday, the park was hosting some first graders. They went off with their education facilitators to look for evidence of wildlife in the nature preserve. When they got back, one group was especially excited, hopping and chattering and almost unable to stay still. Once they were on the bus, their facilitators shared the reason. The group was looking for tracks on Vern's Island, and because there had been rain earlier in the week, they were seeing lots of tracks. "Check out these tracks," the facilitator told them. "These are raccoon tracks. See, the front paws look like hands and the back paws look like little feet." Everybody was looking down at the ground and trying to figure out the raccoon's trail, which way it was going. When a little voice called, "Aw, look at that kitty." When they looked up into the tree, the raccoon himself was sitting in the cottonwood tree just above their heads. Those little kids almost turned inside out. They actually got to see something wild. And so that's what the park offers. And you just never know what you're going to see when you're out there. So with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
So do we have any questions?
Oh, good. Yay, I got one. I get a nickel for every download. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. All right, for each.
Or event, is that right at the nature center, or where is that at?
Yes. So most of our events, I would say, yes, are at the Nature Center, which is 7050 Wetlands Park Lane. It's right off of Tropicana and Broadbent from 10 until 2. So I encourage you all just to check it out. You don't have to sign up. You can just come on out. And it's for everyone.
Sounds good. Okay. Darla?
Do you have a map of the park that you can get online or that they hand out when you go to the park?
Yes, we have mini map boxes all around. So if you come to the Nature Center, if it's your first time, I would recommend you go there first. You can come into the information kiosk and talk to people, but outside we have mini maps that you can just grab and you can use it to navigate around. I encourage you to download the app, but if that's not your thing, just know if you do get lost, find yourself on your phone in your map app to find your way out. But yes, many maps.
Val, did you have a question?
Thank you, Andy. My question is, do you know what happened to that very rare yellow-billed loon that flew in and visited the Bellagio?
Well, we are in City of Henderson. Does anybody in the City of Henderson know? Because I know it was originally identified at the City of Henderson Bird Preserve. Uh-huh. I don't know. We've been talking about it too. Nobody asked us, so I don't think they brought it to us. But so we were thinking, speculating, perhaps it went back to the bird preserve, or maybe they took it out to Overton because that's kind of far away and out of the prying eyes of the public.
It was in the paper. I don't remember. I read about it, but it was in the paper where it had gone to.
Oh, they did say.
Yeah, they did
yeah.
say that, but I don't remember where. I read the article and sorry, I don't remember, but you can look it up in the RJ. Sorry. Any other questions? I will tell you, by the way, that you can see the milk house at the county museum any day of the week, Monday through Friday, or Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, 9 to 4:30. It's only $2 to get in, $1 if you're over 60. like me. So be sure to come by and see it. It was reconstructed, and I have to tell you, that was the most fun meeting I ever had with space development at the county. Was sitting there when they got to me on the agenda and they said, okay, Mark, what do you have? And I said, well, they took a hole out of the ground at the Wetlands Park, and I want you to put it back in the ground at the museum. And they said, okay, Mark, a little more explanation here. But we got it put back in. Okay.
I was just going to ask one more question. Can you bring your sweet little fur babies on a leash out there or not?
So that's a really good question. So we have many different areas where you can. So in the nature preserve, no dogs, no bikes. And that's because it's there for wildlife and we want to be able to see them. But we have a trail that you can go to. If you come towards the nature center, there's a trail that you can loop around. You can also go to Duck Creek Trailhead, Pabco Trailhead, many other trailheads. So if you have any questions, we field calls all the time except for Mondays because we're open Tuesday through Sunday, and we'll help you find the right place for you to go. Because I agree, I have fur babies too.
And by the way, I hope at least some of you may have picked up on one of the trailheads is the Wells Trailhead. And if any of you used to watch Gilligan's Island, you might remember one of the actresses on that who happened to have been Miss Nevada, a lady named Dawn Wells. She donated the land for the Wells Trailhead. That's who it's named for. Have to put that in. I'm all about the names of places. Yes, so something to be aware of.
I have more of a comment than a question.
Sure.
Late 50s, early 60s, there was a couple of guys that I went to school with here, Lauren and Ernie Lamprey, Barney Cannon, and they made more money off that park, trapping and tanning hides and various things like that. They lived out there.
I haven't heard that before. I think that's great. Yeah, there's what would they catch? Do you know?
Well, her sister's here. I'll bet she can tell you what. But they would, beaver on occasion, a lot of different muskrats, bobcat, yeah.
Ah, okay, there we go. There you go. Well, it was also the location in the teens of the first shooting club in the Vegas Valley. Yeah, that was the location for the first shooting club here. But had a question back in the back? No? Okay, I thought I saw a hand. Any other questions? Otherwise, well, Elizabeth, thank you very much. That's wonderful.